Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the September the 8th, 2020 Dare County Board of Commissioners meeting. At this time, I would like to offer a prayer written by the Reverend Michelle Lewis. O holy God, we continue to be amazed at the beauty of your world around us. We thank you for the love of family and friends, and we thank you for the community of people gathered to do his holy work on behalf of the place that we love and call home. Grant us the grace to be mindful of the needs of the people in this community, but help us to be particularly mindful of the needs of the least of these, the children, those who have no say, but whose voices should be calling to us the loudest. Give them peace and understanding in this season where they are learning from home, and grant protection to them, especially those for whom home is not a safe place. Help us to see and meet the needs so that all children will get the education they need in this school year that is so different. Be with the teachers that continue to operate new systems for learning, and give them an extra dose of patience. Let them feel valued for the work they are doing on behalf of the children in our community. We continue to give thanks for those who work so diligently to keep us safe, and for those personnel that will have deemed essential. As coronavirus regulations continue to be loosened, give us all wisdom so that in our comings and goings, we will make smart decisions that will keep us all safe. Keep us mindful of the needs of all the families of the community, those battling addiction and those in recovery, the needy and the disenfranchised, those without work and those with too much work, those who live in lack and those whose lives are filled with plenty. Help us to build bridges amongst all so that we can create a healthier community that celebrate the diversity of all the people living here. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. Help us exhibit this into the world that we would be your light shining in dark places. And we thank you in advance for guiding our work on this morning. We pray all these things in the name of one called Holy, Redeemer, and Lover of the world. Amen. May we stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Bateman is not with us this morning. He had a prior commitment. With that being said, County Manager, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Item 1 on the agenda is the chairman's opening remarks.
Thank you, County Manager. I have 2 or 3 items this morning. As most of you are aware, this past Friday, the governor introduced phase 2.5 that went into effect at 5 p.m. this past Friday. For those of you not aware, those changes, some of the changes are mass gatherings are limited, are increased to 25 people indoors and 50 people outdoors. Playgrounds are allowed to open now. Museums and aquariums can now open at 50% capacity. And fitness and competitive physical activities facilities can also open, and that's at 30% capacity. So those are some of the changes in 2.5. Still, the county encourages everyone to wear a cloth face covering if you will be with other folks. Wait 6 feet apart. Certainly avoid close contact. And wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds or use a hand sanitizer. For detailed info about the state's Safer at Home 2.5 phase and other COVID-19 information, you can visit our website at darenc.com/COVID-19, or you can actually call us at 252-475-5008 if you want any further information with respects to the state Safer at Home policy. I want to once again encourage our folks. Every 10 years, the census takes place. Our 2020 census has been going on for some time now, and September means it's the final month for residents to respond to 2020 census. With less than the month to go before the deadline, it's estimated that about 20% of their households have not yet participated. And I want you to know that this has impact for our highways, funding for our public health and school needs, and support for everything from emergency personnel of families in crisis. Census results affect our community every single day. Responding is safe. It's easier than it's ever been before. It only takes about 10 minutes, and you can complete this by phone or online at my2020census.gov to get started. Or you can dial 1-844-330-2020 to complete this census by phone. So it's important to be counted. So I encourage those of you that have not done this to date to please do so. Next item I have is very, very encouraging. As you know, all over the country, there are all kinds of bills going on to try to help municipalities and counties to deal with the COVID-19 shortfalls in budgets. And this, I'm very, very pleased to announce that Governor Cooper committed last week to sign House Bill 1105, the Corona Relief Act 3.0, and he promised last week to sign this into law. As a result of this, by a lot of effort from Speaker Moore, from our very own House Representative Bobby Hoenig, and our Senate Representative Steinberg, help encourage both the House and the Senate, along with Speaker Moore and the governor. This was a nonpartisan issue and bill, and I'm pleased to report, some of you probably already know this, but as a result, the Roanoke Island Historic Association will receive $1 million in relief. This is one of the largest cash grants that REHA has ever received, and this is huge for Roanoke Island Historic Association because they, as you very well know, the season was shut down this season for COVID. So once again, this was a bipartisan bill support throughout the House, the Senate, and the governor and the speaker. So it's a combination of a lot of work on a lot of people's parts, and I wanted to be sure to recognize those that went to bat for us and with Representative Haney and Steinberg and the governor and the speaker. So this is huge, and I commend both Republican and Democratic constituents in the House and the Senate that made this happen and come to fruition. So I know that this will be a huge benefit for REHA. And then in closing, as we all know, this has been an incredibly busy summer on the Outer Banks. And these past 6 months have been extremely difficult for everyone. In spite of the challenges, those in Dare County, many of whom are very small business owners and workers, have stepped up to the plate and fulfilled their responsibilities to keep things running while doing everything possible to make our community as safe and as healthy as possible. And I just want to offer a thank you for those business owners, those workers, for all of their hard work this season. And it's the best possible given what we've had to deal with under the circumstances. So my hat's off to all the businesses and workers that have been through that. And then last and finally, I hope everyone had a very nice Labor Day weekend. I know the weather Saturday and Sunday was just phenomenal. And yesterday it got a little warmer, but I tell you, it was a beautiful weekend, and I hope everyone enjoyed their weekend. So with that being said, we move into the fall, and hopefully we'll have some beautiful weather this fall. But County Manager, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, item 2 on the agenda is the presentation of the county service pins for September. This morning we have 125 years of service represented on this list I'm about to go through, and we appreciate all that they do for the county. First on our list is Danielle Stein. She's a physical therapist, and she has 10 years with the county. Danielle provides physical therapy services to people in their homes or in the nursing facilities. She's professional and truly committed to delivering quality care and helping patients to reach their goals for safe functioning and maximum mobility. The patients love and appreciate her empathetic nature and trust her with their care. She acts as an advocate for them and is a wonderful motivator, teacher, and coach. Danielle cares for her coworkers and is often the person to initiate celebrations. She put a treasure chest in the break room where her coworkers can place comment pearls to show appreciation for jobs well done or acts of kindness. Danielle is very active in performing internal audits and makes suggestions as to how we can improve and promote our agency. She has provided classes on body mechanics and other wellness topics to other divisions and is quick to accept new challenges and responsibilities. I would like to thank Danielle for her 10 years of service to the county. Next is Elizabeth Liz Rhodes, an income maintenance caseworker, and she too celebrates 10 years with the county. Liz is a dedicated employee with a strong commitment to the mission of economic services at DSS. She came to work for the county initially back in 1997 through 2001 and returned to the agency in 2010. Over the last 10 years, Liz became proficient in all areas of the economic services programs. She works very hard to deliver benefits to her clients quickly and ensures they receive the best benefits they are eligible to receive. Congratulations to Liz for her loyalty and her longevity to Dare County. Next is Elizabeth Beth Brady. She's a social worker 3, and again, she has 10 years service with the county. Beth started as an income maintenance caseworker and has since joined the audit services unit as a social worker 3. She is our primary guardianship social worker. This means that she case manages the adults who are in foster care and is responsible for their entire decision making. Beth does not take these responsibilities lightly, always making compassionate and professional choices for her clients. Beth is the epitome of a super social worker and is kind, compassionate, and always shows empathy. As a team player, she is always willing to help her coworkers and supervisors in any way she can. Since the pandemic, Beth has made sure the unit stays in touch with a weekly group test. Again, thank you, Beth, for your 10 years of service to the county. Brooke Knight is a social worker 3, and she also has 10 years of service with the county. Brooke started as a foster care special worker 3 in October of 2005 and remained in that position until August 2007. Brooke returned to the department as a foster care and in-home services social worker 3 in September 2010. She accepted a position as a social worker 3 in the family support program in May 2014. Brooke also serves on the on-call rotation for night and weekend coverage of adult and child protective services. She is a dedicated social worker who has positively impacted the lives of many children and families in Dare County. We are thankful for her dedication and her service to our county, our families, and most importantly, to our children. So thank you, Beth, for your 10 years of service to the county. Next, we have Shannon Foltz. Shannon's a social worker 4, and she too has 10 years of service with the county. Shannon is supportive of her team members and is always ready and willing to help, whether it's to mentor someone new or as a calming force in a chaotic situation. She has a wealth of information and is always happy to share and support her colleagues with their successes. Child Protective Services has moments of unpredictability, and Shannon is always able to think quickly and come up with resolutions. She truly cares about the families she serves and will go above and beyond to ensure their success. Colleagues have said Shannon has a giant heart, celebrates a family's successes, and helps bear some of the weight during difficult times. With a calm demeanor, she shows compassion for the family she interacts with. Thank you for your 10 years of service, Shannon. Kimberly Holder is a water treatment operator and has 15 years of service. After moving to Dare County from Florida, Kim began working as an operator at the Dare County Water Treatment Department at the Skyco Water Plant in 2005. She was one of the key employees that helped the Skyco Water Plant earn the American Water Works Association Best Tasting Water in North Carolina contest in 2008. She obtained her A-Well certification in 2017. With 15 years of service, Kim continues to be one of the Dare County Water Department's most valued and highly regarded employees. Thank you, Kim, for your 15 years of service to Dare County. Next is Joseph Slaughter. He's a distribution specialist, and he too has 15 years of service. JT has always been very thorough about the quality and details of his work and conscientious in his job and task performance. While holding a B distribution certification, he is very knowledgeable with the distribution system in his daily work and in repairing water leaks. He listens and responds appropriately to other team members' ideas and provides assistance to teammates during working hours or after hours when dealing with emergency water leaks. JT is well liked by everyone he works with. He shows interest and responds in a timely fashion to customer needs. With a focus on their problems, he goes beyond basic service expectations to help customers and find solutions to satisfy them. The office staff receives positive feedback calls from customers on his working manners out in the field. JT, thank you for your 15 years of service. Next is Spencer Gregory. Spencer's a leisure program supervisor, and he has 20 years of service with the county. Spencer came to work with the county on August 29, 2000 at the Northern Beach Division. He exemplifies what it means to be a public servant. His attitude to do a quality job in a timely manner is second to none. He has offered programs for the public that are safe and rewarding to the participants. Spencer comes to work with a smile and the attitude of what can we accomplish today. Spencer has the ability to establish and maintain effective relationships with his peers as well as with the public. He provides excellent service to the public, never complains about any task, and is one of those individuals that every supervisor wants to be on their team. Thank you, Spencer, for 20 years of service to the county. And finally, we have Greg Ball. Greg's a GIS operator, and he has 25 years of service with the county. Greg started in 1995 as a plant operator in the North RO water treatment plant. In 1997, he became the GIS tech for the water department. And 2 years later, he transferred to the IT department to become the GIS coordinator. Greg has been responsible for a number of innovative GIS projects, including Dare County's first publicly accessible online GIS database and projects for other departments, including tax, planning, and communications. With a vast knowledge of GIS and imagery data, he is often sought out for his insights. Greg is well liked, respected by his peers, and is one of the reasons Dare County is such a great place to work. And thank you, Greg, for your 25 years of service to the county. Chairman, that would lead us to the next item on the agenda, which is item 3 and public comment. And we'll wait just a second to see if you all get any by email.
Okay. Very good. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, item 4 on the agenda is the appointment of a deputy tax collector. Under the North Carolina General Statutes, I'm to recommend to you a deputy tax collector. As you know, last meeting you appointed the tax collector, and now you have to appoint the deputy tax collector. It's with pleasure and an easy appointment, at least for me, that I recommend to you Jennifer Davenport. You all know her as Jinky. And Jinky, if you all would come forward, please. So Jinky's been with the tax department, I don't know how long, forever. And she is a wealth of knowledge and gives us complete confidence. You know, if Becky's not there for some reason, then we don't miss a beat. We go on and we do what we do, and she does what she does. And the tax department runs well because of her and her talents, and we certainly appreciate it. So again, it's an easy recommendation for me to recommend to you that you appoint Jennifer Davenport Jinky as our deputy tax collector. You all will need to make a motion to make that appointment, and then Cheryl will swear her in.
Move to approve.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'll second that.
Motion on the floor by the Vice Chairman Overman. It's been seconded by Commissioner Tobin. Any further discussion?
Yes, I would like to say, I've known her for years. We used to be neighbors, and she's one fantastic person with a great family.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone
Maybe
else?
prod you.
Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Congratulations, Jennifer.
The clerk will swear you in.
All right, thank you. Thanks.
Hey, Jennifer, before you get started, since he was your neighbor, did he ever bring any vegetables over to you? Huh?
No, but we sure spent a lot of time at his garden center. It's the left and the right one. I, Jennifer Davenport, I do affirm that I will support and maintain the Constitution and the laws of the United States and the Constitution and the laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
as Dare County Deputy Tax Collector.
as Dare County Deputy Tax Collector.
And that I will not allow my actions
And I will not allow my actions
influenced by personal or political friendships
to not be influenced by personal or political influence
or political friendships
or political friendships
or obligations.
or obligations.
So help me God.
So help me God, and that was a lot.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate what you do.
Thank you. Chairman, item 5 on the agenda is a proclamation for Constitution Week, and with your permission, I'll read the proclamation.
Please do.
Okay, this is a Constitution Week proclamation. Whereas it is the privilege and duty of American people to commemorate the 233rd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America with appropriate ceremony. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dare County Board of Commissioners do proclaim the week of September 17th through 23rd, 2020 as Constitution Week. In witness whereof, I've hereunto set my hand and seal of the County of Dare to be affixed this the 8th day of September 2020. Robert Woodard, Chairman.
Move to approve.
There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner House to approve the Constitution Week proclamation. Is there a second?
I second it.
I'm sorry, it was Commissioner Tobin seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, item 6 is the 2021 through 27 Water Capital Improvement Plan, and Dave and Pat Irwin, our Water Director, will present that for you. As well as number 7. Item 7 is the contract and budget amendments for the animal shelter and the COA construction projects, and Dave will present that. So I'll
Okay.
give the podium over to Dave.
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. Okay. So this is the 7-year water capital improvements plan. We're a couple of weeks later than we normally are. The virus made us, we were trying to figure out what to do and how to do it, and it delayed everything. And then we had some updates on some projects that Pat wanted to get worked into the plan, and we did. We do this plan in conjunction with the water rate model. We hire an outside firm, Hatteras Financial Consulting, every year, and they project future water usage, number of account growth, expense growth. Then we use that to determine what your water rates are projected to be each year. Then that, in turn, tells us how much cash we have available to do water capital projects, or how much we can afford in debt service. It also projects, the cash relates to projecting ending fund balances, which we do every year for 5 years. Those fund balances are dictated by revenue bond covenants. When we issue revenue bonds, the security for the debt is just the cash flow from the water revenue. So they have a lot of covenants in them, and we're required to have 3 different types of fund balances. One of them is restricted, and it's a minimum level. We have to have 1/6 of operating expenses saved. And our board in the past adopted a policy that will do 1/6 plus $1 million. Then after that, you have extension and replacement, which we just call E&R for short. And that's how much you have for capital projects, the cash pay for capital projects. And we project that each year, how much goes in and how much comes out. And then anything over that, we have surplus. And rating agencies like to see with revenue bonds a healthy surplus. Our financial advisor keeps saying that cash is king for revenue bonds.
Who'd have thought?
So what you've got in the plan is $18.1 million over 7 years. $11.5 million of that are pay-as-you-go or pay-go projects, which are cash funded. Toward the end, in 2025, I'm showing a revenue bond issue of $6.6 million. What will happen is in fiscal 24, water debt service is $2.3 million. Then one of our old issues falls off for fiscal 25, so that the scheduled debt service is $1.5 million. If we did $6.6 million over only a 10-year term, that would take the annual debt service back to the 2.3. And a 10-year term is a really short term for water capital projects. So we'll reassess that as we go along. With these projects, we keep revenue bond coverage, which is the coverage calculation. We're required to have 1.5 times cash flow greater, 1.5 times greater than the annual debt service. We maintain it no lower than 1.87 times. The model, we did 3 different scenarios with water usage decreases rate related to COVID-19. We ended up taking the least dramatic one, but that least dramatic one still used 15% decreases for April and May and 7.5% decrease for June. And our actual March 1st through June 30th was a 3% decrease. And if you take that through the end of August, we're at a 2.5% decrease. So when we redo all this next year, it will look better. Our beginning with this plan, our beginning fund balance is our extension and replacement is 12.7, and at the end of the model, it's 11.5 million. And then in total, it's 27.1 million, and it ends at 25.1 million.
You referenced earlier, David, just clarifying, the 3 funds
the E&R fund, there was a surplus fund, and there
Restricted.
was something else.
Restricted.
Restricted. What are those three amounts? Are they combined and totaled into the 25.1 million ending?
Yes, the
What-
25.1 is the total of all of them. On the detail sheet,
Yeah.
it shows the E&R and the total. I don't have the others in here. I know
Okay, I was just trying
the
to break the three out in my
restricted
head. Okay.
I think around $2.5 million.
That would be $1.5 million plus $1 million that we
Yes, sir.
defined as needed. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The decrease that we anticipated, it was essentially half of that. What are some of the factors? Why do we have a decrease? I mean, at first blush, you would think with a
Well,
banner tourism season.
COVID,
well, when we first did the model,
non-resident property owner.
Okay.
yeah, the
Non-resident
county was
property
actually
owners.
closed, and we were anticipating some significant, and we just didn't know, and it was true for all their utilities. They didn't know with, for example, schools not in session or people not in public buildings, would the increase in water residential offset the decrease in commercial? And as we're seeing, it's kind of not. And Raftella still doesn't quite know why. And a lot of it, honestly, sometimes it depends on rain. We can have pretty significant fluctuations in usage just depending on whether it's rain or not and people are using sprinklers. And in the model, we decrease it 0.5% every year anyway, because that's what's happening in the industry because of every time a washing machine gets replaced with a more efficient one, the usage decreases.
Interesting. Thank you. Okay.
So I'm gonna let Pat go through the projects.
Good morning, Pat.
Good morning. I can say that Cape Hatteras, though, as a retail section of the water department, has had a banner year, except for the beginning, in April and May when COVID first started. But through the summer, Cape Hatteras and Rodanthe and Frisco plants have done probably 3 to 4% higher this than last. Okay. The green button, go forward.
The one on the right.
There we go. Okay, one of our main projects is an ongoing project. We just completed the third year for the automatic meter reading project. It's, we've put in, we have 21,000 customers, so therefore 21,000 meters. Right now we have 5,500 in the ground, which is about 25% complete. And then with this year, capital improvements plan, we should be able to double that, and we'll have half done by next spring. You can see the new meters is the composite meter over there. It's a ultrasonic meter compared to the old brass meters. They don't rust, and we've been able to read that meter so far in some of the areas in Buxton with the ocean overwash that are 3 feet under sand and water, and those meters are still reading for us. So it's going to be a great boost to us in Cape Hatteras. Because before we'd have to estimate, and sometimes, 3 feet of sand, it would take us months to get there to uncover those meters. But now we can read them without having to uncover them.
What's the distance of reading? Can you read them from the vehicle?
Oh, yeah, we read them from the vehicle. We can actually read as you go down, say, one road. If you went down Highway 12, you can just about read them all on both the east and west side. And as this evolves, we're going to move not only from automatic meter reading, we're going to move to automatic meter infrastructure, and we'll be able to read them from antennas on the towers. This way, you won't even need to drive by. We'll be able to push a button in the office, read the meters on demand, which will really help us in the wintertime when everyone's freezing. It's not so much the frozen pipes, it's when they thaw out, we find all the leaks, and we'll be able to tell immediately and call customers about leaks. That's
Great.
probably,
That's awesome.
once we get them in, it'll be another 2-3 years for the infrastructure.
Pat, I know it came before the board in the past, but these AMRs, are these digital? Are they as are they hardy and environment resistance? I mean, the others have served as well. I mean, looking at them, they look like they're pretty hardy, even to
yes.
be an electronic.
Absolutely. I mean, before we even started the project anywhere else in the county, we took them out to Stumpy Point. And we put in about 100 meters out there for the first year as our incubator, if you will. And, you know, Stumpy Point on a good day is always underwater out there. And so the meters have performed very well out there in saltwater conditions. So we're very pleased with that too.
So are these manufactured for Dare County? Will it say, would it say County of Dare on the meter?
They do say County Adair on the meter.
I see you got one of Urbana's up here, so that's why I'm asking.
Well, the picture I found on the internet showed Urbana and the other meter together, and that's why. But our meters do all say Dare County on them. Yeah. Moving on, our next project is, and this project will take place over what we'll call the off-season between October and March. The reverse osmosis plant, the original trains, over the trains 1, 2, and 3, and they each did 1 million gallons a day. Now those trains are 30 years old. So we're gonna go ahead and put in 3 new trains or units, and the new units will be 1.3 million gallons a day as opposed to the 1 million in there. So for the same footprint, we'll now get 3.9 millions of gallons out of that as opposed to the 3. So the state likes that, we like it. We do get very close in the summer season. We can make 10 million gallons a day in the regional system, and sometimes we use now 9.5. And of course, we have storage that is greatly helpful, but it's, you know, we're getting very, very close. So that extra 900,000 is going to help us greatly. Also on this slide is the microfiltration, completion of the microfiltration project at Skyco, but that's not going to occur till 2025. We also, of course, every time we come before you every year, we're always going to have our elevated tank maintenance and paintings. Here we have 8 elevated tanks that'll get painted for 1.76 mil, and it'll take place between 2021 and 2026, tank a year to get us through. Some places like inland of here can get by 10 to 15 years on a tank painting. We're 5 to 10 just because of the salt environment. Next year in 2022, we're going to have a supervisory control and data acquisition update to our SCADA computers. And of course, this is what runs our water treatment plants, all 5 of them, and also runs our distribution system, whereas all the tanks are connected and all the elevated tanks, once the water is in them, we fill the tanks up to a certain height, and then the pumps cut off, and then when it drops, the pumps come on automatically. So that's part of the SCADA system that keeps the system running all the time.
Excuse me. Can those
Sure.
systems be hacked?
I'm sorry? Oh, can it? I would say about anything could be hacked. I would refer to Matt on that. We've never have been hacked on anyone coming into and starting and stopping pumps. You know, we could take it out of automatic also. You know, all of our equipment, you know, when the power goes down and we get a power strike, we sometimes can't operate the SCADA system. But we have motor control panels in all the plants, so we just have a hand off and auto switch so we can turn things on manually. So if something did get in, or say a bug got into it and destroyed our control system, we can run it manually.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to be changing out the membranes. That's the life of a reverse osmosis system. Those membranes are 40 inches long, 8 inches in diameter, and as I showed you on the first slide, the long tubes are pressure vessels, and there are 6 of those membranes in each pressure vessel. And we'll be changing them in Cape Hatteras this year, the North RO plant in 2022, the Mac Midget plant or RWS plant in 2022, and Stumpy Point will get new meters in 2022 also. I mean, sorry, not new meters, new membranes.
Pat, how long does a membrane last?
The membranes, it depends on the amount of salinity. We get our membranes probably from 7 to 10 years life out of them. I would say the Rodanthe plant has the best quality of water, so we for sure get 10 to 12 years out of the Rodanthe plant. And the Frisco plant is almost ocean water in salinity, and so we get 5 to 7 years there.
Gotcha.
And we got an emergency generator replacement. The Rodanthe plant will have an emergency generator. It's 25 years old. The plant was started in 1995. It'll be replaced, and the North RO plant generator will be replaced. It's 30 years old. Of course, we know how important our emergency generators are to us during the hurricane season. So that's a quick summary of some of our capital improvement plans over time.
Great stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Great stuff. Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So we're asking the board, there's a capital project ordinance to be adopted, and then also approve a budget amendment for the water fund and a budget amendment for the water capital reserve fund. And the water capital reserve fund is the system development fees that we're moving over to use for these projects.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner House to adopt a capital project ordinance, the budget amendment for the water fund, and the budget amendment for the water capital reserve fund. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chairman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Dave?
All right, thank you. Item number 7, part 1 is for the animal shelter construction project. Part 2 is for the COA construction project. On the animal shelter, we're asking the board to approve 8 contract change orders, which is a lot, but the first 7 of those reduced the project price by $160,747. And I'm going to have to give a lot of credit to Alex and Stephen, who are on site for Whiting Turner, and Brett Johnson, our project manager. They've worked through all these changes and discussed all of them with the SPCA, who is okay with all of these, and gone through to get these project savings for us. Number 8, or the 8th one, is to add $83,182 to pave the entrance drive from Airport Road to the building. So we're, if you include, we'd already done a couple of smaller contract change orders, but net to date after these, we will be to the good by almost $68,000, and we've got another $35,000 to $40,000 decrease in the pipeline. And we're also included in the budget project change that you're being asked to approve. We're reducing the furniture, fixtures, and equipment by $49,621. Brent has worked out with the SPCA to reuse 60 stainless steel cat cages out of 130 total. So we're also putting that amount into the owner's contingency for now. And what we'll do is I'll come back to you before we issue the debt or the bonds for all 3 projects. And my estimate is we'll reduce the price of animal shelter by somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000 and borrow that much less money. Now, in the College of the Albemarle, what you have is guaranteed maximum price, or it's a contract change number 1 for the guaranteed maximum price to Barnhill Construction for $369,032 for the demolition of everything on the site except for the professional arts building. They did a bid process, and the low bid was D.H. Griffin out of Greensboro. They're, I think, a pretty large demolition firm, and said we just fit very well in their schedule and got a good price. So that change order is $369,000. The estimate from the architect was $400,000. We're adding $10,000 for a hazardous material, mainly I think mold remediation. We have to have a monitor during demolition that works for us. And again, putting the balance into owner's contingency, which you'll see why with the next agenda item. So what we're asking the board to do is to approve Whiting Turner contract amendments 5.1, 5, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and approve the Barnhill demolition GMP contract amendment and adopt the amendment included to the capital project ordinance.
Thank you, Dave. Pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion, that the board approve the Whiting Turner contract amendment, the Series 5 amendments, and approve Barnhill demo amendment there, and then, of course, adopting the amendment to the capital project ordinance.
Thank you, Commissioner Couch. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Tobin. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
David, one of the line items I'm just curious about, I'm glad to see this, obviously. I know Brent and the team and Whiting Turner are focused on it. It says we will remove canine turf, savings or cost reduction, $26,935. I'm looking at the detail. And what does that mean? Do you know? I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
In
if
the
you know.
exercise area
Yeah.
behind the building,
Yeah.
there's two wings that come out.
Right.
With kennels. And the architect had in that exercise tournament, I guess, basically dog AstroTurf.
Right, I remember that.
And we know right now that, and the SPCA is fine with just using pea gravel. What they're trying to do is get permission from the state to use grass. And I think there's a chance that the state's changed their position to allow grass. When we designed it, they didn't allow grass, but
Yeah, I do remember
probably
our
be pea
discussions
gravel,
about
it
that.
could be grass.
Okay,
We're gonna have to add $1,000 of gravel, we found out last week, but,
okay.
yeah. So the turf was,
It's kind of ironic,
Expensive.
it's called pea gravel.
Yeah. Little play on words there. It's funny, back at my fraternity house in college had the same backyard. I'm sure.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, then those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Dave.
All right. Item 8 on the agenda is the Capital Improvement Committee recommendations on the College of the Albemarle project. You have before you have two sheets. You have one up at the top that says project number 60332, and that's sort of a spreadsheet of all of the cost of the project. And then attached to that, you have a value management log. And then in blue, with the blue asterisks, are the value management things that we've accepted to pull out of the project to save money. And that corresponds with the VE on the first sheet that I talked to you about. The Capital Improvement Committee met last week and went through the project in depth, went through all of the numbers, went through all the bids, went through everything. And as you go through this list of thing, and I'm not going to go down the list unless anyone wants to talk about any particular items, but you will note that the total cost, the grand total cost of the project with everything now, the not to exceed cost is $17,859,487. 1.5 million of that will be paid for with state bonds, meaning that the $16,359,487 that you see at the bottom of the sheet is the amount of money that Dare County would be borrowing to build the project if approved. That number is a not to exceed number. We have made it clear to everyone that there is no more money, you can't exceed that. And so that number is a number. It's our hope, and there is some expectation that maybe we can save some more money off of that as the final bids come through. But this number is the highest number that it could be, and if it improves something, that would be good for us. If you approve this today, then the demolition would start Monday. They'd start putting up the fence and all that next week to get the project going in earnest. The Capital Improvement Committee, there's a third sheet that you have, and it's sort of our affordability model. And the long and the short of that affordability model is that the Capital Improvement Fund can afford the $16 million debt that we just talked about. When you go down and look about middle way of the page, you're looking at fund coverages, and what our goal in those fund coverages is what, Dave?
0.5.
0.5. And so in 2021, we'll be down, to 0.49 or so, but after that, our coverage is improved by more than 0.5. So we're in good shape in the capital improvement fund, even with this project in it at this number. I will tell you that 0.5 coverage is a good thing for us. In 2008, it was like 0. And so we're able to maintain a good, healthy balance in our capital improvement fund as we go forward, and these coverages reflect that.
Remind us, if you would again, Bobby, of the 0.5, what does that definition mean, coverage?
It's 0.5. Go ahead, Dave.
Your ending fund balance is half of what we need for annual debt service. So if all revenue went away, we'd have enough fund balance to pay half of debt service.
And debt service is approximately, do you remember how much that debt service is in 2021? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I can check with you after the meeting.
That's the debt
That's the debt, but you can,
issuance.
the
So
total.
you mean total in the fund, right? Total debt service in the.
What I'm basically trying to think of is our debt service is, I'll make up a number, $2 million a year, and 0.5 coverage means our ending balance is $1 million in the capital fund. That would be a correct
more-
understanding of the definition?
Right, except I'd use 20 instead of 2.
Debt service is 20?
That's a guess. That's an educated guess. I just don't have it in my head.
Okay. All righty. That would imply roughly a $10 million fund balance.
Yeah, I'm
And again,
sorry.
not trying to
I
put you on the
forgot my
spot. I could check with you afterwards. Okay.
So with that said, the Capital Improvement Committee, having gone through all that, has recommended approval of that not-to-exceed number and authorization for us to direct Barnhill to begin using that number as a not-to-exceed number. Any other approvals you need, Dave?
That the only other, is that all you need?
That's all I need, yes, sir.
Okay. Pleasure of the board then?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion on the floor by the vice chairman, seconded by, was it Commissioner House? Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
So I guess, Mr. Chairman,
Thank you,
since you're
gentlemen.
gonna start Monday, I guess you'll be out there with a sledgehammer?
Yep,
Well, they will,
they'll put up the
they'll
fence.
start putting the fence up, but
They'll put up the silk fence.
we'll call them today, and their goal would be to start next week on that, putting up the fence, and so we'll start seeing activity out there pretty soon, which is a good
Pretty
thing.
exciting.
What are we gonna do with the demo? Just curious, like the bricks and,
The brick's gonna go
We'll
out,
sell them.
anything for a buck?
Yeah, they're gonna
Debt
get-
service taken.
they're gonna go to our landfill, the brick is, and it's gonna be used to create a base for our roads that are all muddy out there. So, yeah. Item 9 on the agenda, over there on the, I get my directions mixed up, I think it's on the southwest corner of that parcel where we're building the COA project. There's a hedge between that and that law office that's there on the corner. That hedge has sort of been the demarcation line between the two properties for years, sort of by accident. We've maintained everything on our side of the hedge, and the law firm has maintained everything on their side of the hedge. However, when you go and really look at the deeds, that little piece of land between the hedge and the boundary of the law office is owned by Dare County. The owners of the law office have asked if they could purchase that property. We talked about this at a previous meeting, and you all were amenable to selling. So he has made a formal offer of $15,000 to proceed to buy that piece of property from us. That $15,000 came from our tax assessor. He went out and assessed the value of that property, and that's what he assessed it at, and that's what they offered for that. They've prepared an offer to purchase and contract that's before you. We're not going to approve that contract. We're going to need to make some changes to some language in that contract, but you would need to approve or authorize the sale of that property for $15,000, and then you would need to authorize us to adopt the resolution that's required by GS 160-269 that allows us to, one, declare the real property surplus, and then two, under 168-269, sell it. There's a bid procedure where you have to go through and you do this resolution telling the world that you intend to sell it, and then anybody that would like to buy it and bid higher can come in and bid higher for it under a process. Assuming nobody does, then at the completion of that process, we'd be authorized to execute the documents necessary to close. So I need approval of the resolution, authorization for me to amend and sign the contract, and then we would move forward with the sale.
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Tobin. There's a second by Commissioner House. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Item 10 on your agenda is your consent agenda. On the consent agenda, you have the approval of the minutes. You have the Water Department NCDOT right-of-way encroachment agreement for the Cape Hatteras well project. You have the charge to the tax collector. You have the Dare Soil and Water Conservation District grant. You have a Health and Human Services construction project capital project amendment. You had NCDOT award of CARES Act funds to the Dare County Transportation Program. You have Dare County Health and Human Services Public Health Division Breaking Through Task Force Public Awareness Campaign to Address Community Mental Health Grant. And you have the Dare County Health and Human Services Public Health Division Strategic Planning Framework Grant.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner House to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ross. Further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next are your board appointments for September. You have one. It's the Albemarle Region Resource Conservation and Development Council. Ann Sinclair resigned in January. The council received an application from Maggie May and recommends the board appoint her to a 4-year term.
Recommend the appointment of Ms. May.
There's a motion on the floor to appoint Ms. May. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner House. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
And then your upcoming board committee and appointments, you have none in October. In November, the Older Adult Services Advisory Council will have 1 term expiring. In December, you'll have several. You have the Equalization and Review Board. You have 5 terms expiring there. You have the Nursing Home Community Advisory Council, DC Joint Committee Advisory Committee. You have 1 term expiring. You have the Parks and Recreation Advisory Council. You have 1 term expiring. And you have the Special Motor Vehicle Evaluation Review Committee with 3 terms expiring. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that would be your agenda.
Thank you, County Manager. That brings us to item 12 on the agenda, and that's Commissioner's business and Manager's business. And I will ask Commissioner Couch if he would kick that off today.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. That's a pretty phenomenal group of PIN recipients, not just the longevity. Such a great thing that we have very little turnover in Dare County, and personnel experience is everything when you work in local government, and it's quite a phenomenal group there. Don't have anything to add other than business is screaming down there on the lower end, South Banks, and I've been encouraged seeing the numbers, the economic numbers that have been coming through on the A39, the A40, and land transfer. I'm sure you guys saw the land transfer numbers. That's quite a dynamic. A great time to be a real estate agent. If you're not making money in sales, you're just lazy. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Vice Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank Trillium for the steering strategic planning framework grant of $18,000. That money will be a tremendous help in the messaging that gets out on a variety of items for the Saving Lives Task Force. I'd like to also join the chairman in thanking the General Assembly for the $1 million given to the Lost Colony. And with that, a special thank you to our State Representative Bobby Hannig and Senator Bob Stamberg, who were instrumental in getting that done. That was a very big deal.
Just a quick question. I think it's great. Do we know what that means for them? Is it that they're preserved for next season, that they can do some other improvements they needed? I'm very glad, obviously. I'm just not sure how much help it gives them.
Quite a
and when-
bit. I serve on that board.
Yeah.
They're in the process of certainly looking at the play. They are also looking at a new executive director. And the plans are to certainly, as we move forward now, to have a season next year.
So that is secure. This grant will absolutely guarantee, barring something we don't know about, a full season for next year.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Providing the executive committee and the board approve moving forward, depending on COVID and where we are with that.
Yeah, assuming that that's
Right.
addressed, we now have
Right.
funding, there's no.
And this
risk of-
certainly will help the Park Service, as you know, owns the property and has a lot of issues there with, there's some roof replacements that need to be done. There's seating. We've had some conversation in the
Yes,
past
we have.
about seating.
Right.
That's in dire need of replacement. A lot of capital stuff there that this could potentially help them towards some of that.
That's what I was looking at,
Yeah.
how much help it could give them,
Yeah.
so that's good to see, good to
I
hear.
think in the short term, I think you could just say it's a lifesaver.
Yeah, it's definitely a
In
lifesaver.
the short term.
Yeah.
Lastly, I'd like to join Danny in thanking our service pin recipients. Again, 125 years, outstanding, and thank you all for what you do. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Commissioner House?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And once again, I'll reiterate, 125 years of service is just outstanding. It seems like every year, seems like every month we come up when we're hitting triple figures. So, I mean, that's just outstanding. Shows you the dedicated force we have here in Dare County. Last week, there was a meeting of the Marine Fisheries Commission. And during that business meeting, Director Murphy informed the commission that he was considering granting the request to increase the bag limits for red drum that are captured incidentally by fishermen targeting flounders. And this simple statement seemed to spark an outrage in the commission. And some of whom publicly portrayed our request as a pure greed statement.
What does that mean, Steve, if you could give that a little context?
In other words,
please?
they are allowed certain number of red drum bag limit
When pursuing flounder?
when pursuing flounder.
Yes, sir.
That they can sell
Commercially.
commercially.
Yes, sir.
So he was asking to try to increase that bag limit.
So I'd get more incidental
so you
red
get more
drum,
in-
that would be okay, I wouldn't be found in violation.
Right. And that way you could actually make a little bit more money.
And that was attacked, is what you're saying?
And that was attacked
I
by
got you.
a pure
Okay.
greed
Yeah,
grab.
just wanted to understand.
These are our fishermen that were devastatedly hit with COVID as far as financially. And even with the relief efforts that are out there, they're still hurting. And now that they've like I said, last year, they cut the flounders season down, way down. They're not looking at extending it anymore, even though there are some signs that the flounder counts are actually going up. So this is one of the ways that a lot of our fishermen were looking at, can we at least do something here because, and I'll get ready to get into a little bit more of it, with the red drum to actually increase a little bit more income so that we can sustain ourselves. And that was portrayed as being just pure greedy. The commercial impacts on the red drum stock over the past 20-year period, from 1998 to 1917, North Carolina commercial fishermen harvested 794,000 red drum, combined with a weight of 3.4 million pounds, averaging 174,000 pounds in red drum during the flounders. In addition, 285,000 fish were killed and wasted during the same period, which could not be harvested because of bag limits. So that was just a discard. In the same 20-year period, North Carolina anglers, recreational fishermen, have harvested 3.4 million red drum with a combination weight of 15.8 million pounds, averaging 791,000 pounds annually, nearly 4.5 times the commercial fishing harvest. In addition, 2.1 million red drum were killed and wasted as dead discards in the recreational fishery. These recreational dead discards alone are nearly double the number of commercial dead discards and harvested. The combination of almost 1.1 million are also avoidable. So in other words, what he was actually requesting was to actually sell some of these fish as opposed to being dead discards, and that we could use in our fisheries. And for some on the commission, that was considered pure greed, as opposed to just a wasting of the fish. We're still working on that to increase that bag limit. It's an ongoing process. I know the Director Murphy is in agreement. It should go through. He actually brought it up. So we're still working on that aspect of it. On our date in history, September 8th, back in the 1600s, the Dutch had a colony a little bit farther north from us, and they called it New Amsterdam. Now, there's a popular TV show out now called New Amsterdam, but it's not the popular TV show. This is actually a landmass further north of us. And in 1664, on September 8th, it was captured by the English through the Duke of York, who organized the mission. And New Amsterdam his name was changed to something you might recognize now, New York. So in 1864, New Amsterdam became New York City, and that's our day in history. Our pet of the week, normally we do this at our evening meetings. This is a special case, and we haven't done the pet of the week in quite a while, but this is actually a little bit touching. Our pet of the week is Luna, a 1.5-year-old black and white fluff ball. Luna was surrendered at the shelter recently because her family could not provide proper care for her. Luna is very affectionate with humans and previously lived with other cats. I don't know how well that went over, but anyway. She would love a forever home because shelter life has been hard on this sweet girl. So please take a look at Luna and see if you can, do we have that video?
Our pet of the week for this week is Luna. Luna is around 1.5 years old, and she's the sweetest, most beautiful black and white floof. She was surrendered recently because her family could not provide proper care for her. Luna is very affectionate with humans and previously lived with other cats. She would love a forever home since shelter life has been really hard on this precious girl. To adopt Luna or foster one of our other animals, you can come and visit us Monday through Saturday at our shelter located in Manteo. We hope everyone had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. And that means fall is upon us. Hosting adoption events has been quite different this year, but there are still ways you can get involved with us. You can foster a homeless pet for just one day or several months and help promote their adoptability on social media. Or you can check out our current fundraiser aimed at contributing to our new facility. For more information, visit our website at www.obxspca.org or visit our OBXSPCA Facebook page.
I hope that played on everybody else's monitors, did not play on ours.
Did that play on y'all's monitor? Because I was wondering if Luna was yellow, because
Yeah, that's all we've got on ours.
I was wondering if Luna was yellow and had a lot of pipes and
Kind of black and white.
You know.
Yeah, Jim and I have good views. He can watch my TV and I can watch his.
Wait a minute, no fair.
Yeah.
We gotta get that corrected, please.
Perks of being in the corner.
There you go. So definitely, Luna needs a forever home. She is a fun-loving little dog. So hopefully that goes out, and I hope that everybody had a fantastic Labor Day weekend. I'm one of those small business owners that Mr. Woodard put out earlier today of hardworking and not taking any time off. So have a blessed rest of the week and next week, and thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to continue on that theme for a moment, Steve, the animal shelter on Roanoke Island is proceeding beautifully. It is up. We've got cinder block walls going up, and construction is moving ahead. We've just approved a budget amendment that will put a paved drive into the animal shelter instead of the gravel and dirt drive that exists now. And I'm looking at Finance Director Clausen for a nod of the head that I'm thinking April-ish, possibly May, for final completion and transfer of
I
pets.
did check on that, the Whiting Turner
Yes, sir.
dates. The Whiting Turner date's April 1st, so it'll just depend on how long it takes us to get them moved.
Sure, sure. So April 2021, guys.
That's great. Cool.
I'll be here before you know it.
Yes, it will. Secondly, just a couple of stats to update the chairman's opening comments about moving to stage 2.5 from the governor. I am anxiously awaiting stage 2.6 from the governor.
2.7, 2.8.
You see, just by checking the latest data and statistics, and I'm not going to swamp you with them. I mean, they're available to all of us. We've got 10.5 million people living in our state. As of now, as of Friday, 25% or 2.5 million tests have been conducted, 1/4 of the population. Of those tested, and there has been considerable discussion about the results of these tests. Are they accurate? Are they truly being reported and tested just straightforward, accurately or not? There's about a 7% positive result, or 180,000 positive cases. 10.5 million, 2.5 million tests, 180,000 tested positive, and the fatalities that have been, again, reported, attributed to COVID-19 or related to COVID-19 of about 2,900. Of the 2,900 deaths, 0 deaths have occurred in people under the age of 25. And of the 2,900, 140 fatalities have occurred in people under the age of 50. So the good news is the statistics over the last 6 months imply very, very low risk for people that do not have serious complications or other comorbidities under the age of 50. And sadly, almost 1,700 of those 2,900 have occurred in people age 75 and over. And I look at some of us approaching that or getting there on this board. So we're clearly the class that must exercise very strong precautionary measures. The statistics simply say that. So in leading into my next comment, I have been in contact with our Board of Education and following on with Superintendent Farley, Associate Superintendent Kinzel, and their staff about the status of Dare County schools. And I attended Superintendent Farley's senior staff meeting and listened to he and his team detail several alternatives that were all very well thought out. And I wanted to just share for a moment that each one had a comment, as did members of the Board of Education, that we all wanted the schools to open safely. Therein lies the rub, doesn't it? How does one define safely? If you take a slightly broader context or metaphor, we all want our kids transported to and from school safely. We put them on buses, we have trained drivers, we follow speed limits, and sadly there are occasionally accidents. We all drive to and from work, to and from meetings, to and from events, and we exercise caution. We follow speed limits. We use seat belts. We have cars with anti-lock brakes, airbags, headlights, stoplights, and yet there are accidents. My point is, I'm trying to get a firmer grip on not allowing perfect to get in the way of really good, because we can exercise extremely sound, practical measures of safety, as Superintendent Farley and his team outlined to me, and I was very impressed with, and we may or may not be able to achieve zero. The alternative is just being devastating on our community, on our kids, on our parents, on our families struggling through this. And my final comment is a corollary to that, and I'm going to be meeting with Commissioner Couch and some folks from the Child and Youth Partnership regarding I don't know, Danny, am I overstating it to call it a crisis on Hatteras Island for early child care, infant to age 5?
Absolutely. There's one center open which can't even handles less than 5% of the total eligible child population.
This is a very, very serious problem, and God bless them. They're all working hard on it, and I'm basically going to try and offer what help I can with Commissioner Couch and the team. But these are very, very real community, societal, family, and individual problems. The stresses, the pressures, the isolation, the frustration, and quite frankly, on a more empirical level, the fact that you may have had a substantial percentage of students prior to any COVID impacts working and struggling, frankly, to keep up. Because it's tough, guys. It's a bell curve. We know that. There are a small percentage of really strong students. There's a large majority of doing okay students, and then there's a percentage that have to work extra hard. That percentage on the right side of that bell curve is growing. And when you implement virtual-only online learning, and I have been doing some research, I've talked to some instructors, some educators, I have yet to find one who has said, oh, this is a great idea. We should have all of our 8-year-olds learning virtually online. It doesn't happen. I'm being obviously a little over the line there. It's not working well, guys. It is simply not a substitute for in-class instruction, social interaction, supervision by, responsible, trained, caring teachers, instructors. So I'm just being out front here. I'm working on contacting the Board of Education, on staying in communication with them, and trying to identify the specific criteria that can lead to us opening in as safe and practical manner as possible, as soon as possible. And I certainly hope we can get there.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Ross. Commissioner Tobin?
Well, thank you. I've had actually a pretty busy couple of weeks. First and foremost, before I forget, I'd like to wish happy birthday to our Sheriff, Doug Dowdy. Yep. Today is his birthday, so big shout out to Doug. We've had a lot of really good news today at this meeting, and I would like to add to it, stating that the dredge contract with Conrad Shipbuilding has been signed and fully executed.
Wait a minute.
The first 10% payment has been distributed. We're officially in the construction phase.
Fantastic, Jim. Thank you.
It is
Thank you for
fantastic.
that. That's great news.
Also along those lines, they're currently negotiating with Crowley Marine for the management contract to supervise all the on-site construction of the ship. And the first pre-construction meeting is going to be held on this Friday. So we're moving along. Should be about 18 months as per contract to have that dredge completed. Next, a week ago Friday, I was contacted by Congressman Greg Murphy and asked to set up basically a business roundtable. He had me contact a girl, Wagner Grubb, which I did, and asked her what she wanted me to include, and she said just a cross-section of business people in our community. So I got a marina owner, retail and sports. I got the boat building people there. I got fishing people there. Basically the real estate service industry, aquaculture there, dredging there, and the real estate companies there. And I'd like to share with you just a little bit about what we discussed and what he's kind of agreed to do. First of all, in Congressman Murphy's opening statement, he spoke heavily about COVID-19 and where the federal government was, where the vaccines were at, and what have you. And he said he was very convinced that that there will be a vaccine by the end of the year and possibly by November 1st, that it's really, really close in stage 3 production. He also stated, which was surprising to me, that he predicts, and this is just his own opinion, but he predicts by April 1st of the next year, there will be no mask requirements. And he also talked about a very interesting thing that I believe it's a hospital up in Massachusetts is doing with using nitrous oxide to combat some of the effects of COVID. What nitrous oxide does at a certain level is it opens up the oxygen transfer in your lungs to your blood. And they are actually using it and have had some success. And they're also using nitrous oxide as a prophylactic for the hospital workers that have been possibly exposed to it. So at the end of the day, they give them this nitrous oxide treatment, and it has had positive effects too.
Is that
So
the same as laughing gas?
it is laughing gas, and it makes everybody happy. So it's interesting. It's not an approved thing yet, but they're working on it, and he just wanted us all to know about it. So as we went on in the meeting, we talked about dredging. We talked about increased federal funding for dredging, and also for making Hatteras Inlet a federal inlet. We've talked several times about that. And that's real important because if Hatteras Inlet is actually designated as a federal inlet, we'll be able to get federal funding for it. He didn't know that there was a Coast Guard station down there, and he really didn't know that there wasn't a federal inlet. We also talked about the importance of the dredging and keeping these inlets open because the trawl boats can't come in with their catch, which when the fish aren't landed in North Carolina, they're being landed in Virginia. They transfer those fish quotas from North Carolina to Virginia. So it really does truly hurt us. There's also discussion about how fishing is being legislated, commercial fishing is being legislated out of existence because of so many regulations. And also there was talk about the shark issue offshore and how many fish are being destroyed by sharks and possibly allowing some shark fishing. Then we moved on and we started talking about what was going on in the retail, real estate industries and the service industries. The number one problem is labor shortages. This year they didn't allow foreign workers in, and that was a huge problem for our area. We pushed Congressman Murphy to speak about that and see if we can't get foreign workers back here. And also, it was a pretty much unanimous around the room that giving the bonus $600 a week and the bonus $300 a week was horrible because these workers aren't going back to fill the positions. You can talk to anybody in retail in Dare County, anybody in service in Dare County, anybody, anywhere about trying to hire employees, and it's impossible. I ran ads for 4 weeks, didn't get one response, not one response. And the other thing along the labor shortages and stuff is the need to solve the affordable housing issues, whether it be in Dare County or our adjacent counties. That always kind of surfaces to the top. And that was basically it. It was very productive. He actually spent 2 hours with us. And he also, I should mention, wants to set up a very small committee that meets with him on a regular basis to talk about the inlet issues and the fishing issues. So I think we made a lot of progress, and it was really good. And that's all I've got. Happy birthday, Doug.
Thank you, Commissioner Tobin. That brings us to County Manager.
Yes, sir. Real briefly, with the governor's new order, we've begun opening some of our recreation facilities on a limited basis to comply with that ordinance or with that order. Tim has been in contact with Sheila in the health department to try to make sure whatever we do safely, we do it along her recommendations. And it may be that some of our restrictions may be greater than what the governor requires if she that's what it takes to make it safe to use those facilities. And so we're beginning on a limited basis to do that. For the people in the public that want to use those facilities, they need to go online to our website at dariencc.com and pull up the Parks and Rec page, and they'll have on there what they offer, what they need to do, how you get involved, all those kinds of things. But again, at some limited basis, we're starting to move forward with some programs and some of the things that we can do safely. Beyond that, the county is running under the COVID rules, and by all accounts is running smoothly, although not without our hiccups. It's certainly been a challenge with all that we're doing, but our employees are doing a great job. You heard about 125 years of dedication. Well, we got a lot more than that with the other folks that are here, and they're doing a bang-up job under the restrictions and problems that we have.
I just want to comment, if I could. We do indeed appropriately respond to and recognize the service of those folks. What I just want to point out, we sometimes will overlook, and I know we don't mean to, is the environment, the culture, the supervision, and the leadership from our county manager, his associate county manager. I'm looking at Dorothy Hester, the senior team. That makes a huge difference. So I know it's not called out often, but I wanted to congratulate you guys. Thank you for that continued effort and the kind of results that we see with those service pins. It's outstanding. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And I will tell you, our department heads truly work as a team together. Just because you happen to work in one department doesn't mean you don't help and work out. We've had people crossing from one department to the other to do what needs to be done, and that's the teamwork that we get, and that's how we get the job done with all the issues that we have going on. So kudos out to our department heads for sure, and to our staff for all the things that they do. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, County Manager. Public Information Officer, Ms. Hester, do you have anything for us today? Thank you. Anything else, Dave, for us from our Finance Director?
Just Commissioner Ross, the numbers were 2021 debt service was 16 million, so the ending fund balance was 8.
8, got it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, with that being said, is there a motion to adjourn until September the 21st?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Tobin has been seconded by Commissioner House. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.